Hello and welcome to this episode of Sweat Equity. My name is Leon Hayes, the founder of Yeah Buddy, and today on the pod, I'm joined by none other than Lachie Stuart. Lachie, over the past 12 months, has embarked on an incredible array of journeys and challenges, from 58 marathons across 58 states, across 58 days, all the way through to trying to run 100 kilometers in just 24 hours, to building his business, and quite recently with the news that him and his beautiful wife are about to become parents for the first time. Lachie Stuart, welcome to the episode.
Leon, thanks for having me on. Eugene, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here.
Eugene, how are you?
Fantastic.
Eugene, this is your first episode that you've been able to sit down as creative director. You've always been creative director of Yeah Buddy, but it's an incredible opportunity to have you on the podcast and to share the day with us, especially as we reflect over the past 12 months. So welcome. And really look forward to you sharing that creative journey that you went on with Lachie to create that incredible iconic hat. But before we do, Lachie Stuart, we had in the intro a number of things that you've been doing this year. That isn't even thinking about 2026, which I also look forward to unpacking with the things that you can actually share with us, lots of things that we're going to be announcing. But how's this year been for you?
Been career defining. It would be, when I look back on life, there's 2 years that have really shaped my life, and that's 2013 and then now 2025. So I look back and just cannot fathom how much I've actually jammed in. Like, I still think the run was the year prior because there's so much has happened. So I'm super grateful for that, everything that's happened, but I also know all the hard work that's been going on behind the scenes to make something like that happen.
Well, we see it day in and day out with you. You know, you're the at the forefront of personal brand, but sharing story, and it's actually sharing stories and information that people connect with, and it actually is beneficial, you know, to them, you know, and those challenges that you've been through, reflective of how you've been able to persevere and get through those, and you're sharing that, builds for such an incredible narrative. How do you find yourself doing it?
I think it's just, now it's habit, but I was always looking for role models and I never had access to them. And obviously fast forward, Instagram became a thing. And for me, it was an outlet, a tool that I could hold myself accountable to. And it was also gave me a voice when I didn't have one, or I didn't feel like I had one, to just share things that I was learning, talk about things that I was struggling with, and people could identify themselves in my stories. And I learned through people's stories as well. I'll watch content and I'm like, I resonate with that immensely. And it may not even be the same line of story. It might be watching someone go through some personal struggle, but I'll then tie that back to a marathon or something within my marriage. So I feel like if I can learn from people's stories, then my story can help others as well. I think it's important, just to document. It's what we have all done, and obviously with the doco coming out, showing the journey, not just, we've completed this awesome thing and people go, oh, easy for him or lucky for them because they've done that outcome and they had all the support. When if you actually document it, people can see when you had nothing, you're on the bones of your ass, and the journey along the way.
Just think about that journey since some of those cold, lonely. I know you had your brother-in-law and a couple of other mates with you in the back end of America, walking through baseball fields and snow and Legionnaires hats and all. That's about it. You know, that was the color in your life.
Literally, it was,
time. Yeah. You know, judging by some of those photos, to now even still being, you know, challenging through business, challenging through building your business and the new Lachie Stuart, let's call it empire, and we'll unpack how that looks. But it never changes, I guess, the friction or the challenge. It's how you actually adopt and decide to take on the challenge. But then being able to document it and look back shows the growth that you don't see every day when you're going through the hustle. Would you agree?
Definitely. And I think it makes you more present in the moment, because if you're thinking about creating content, or at least for when I'm creating content, there was a period where I was just putting everything up, and then you're like, well, is there any value in that? Whereas now, even this morning I was documenting something which is completely irrelevant to a lot of the stuff that I've done, but it's part of, you know, if we talk about empire, the thing that I'm building at the moment, and it's phase 0 going to phase 2. And it's so important to document that, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Sat on a call for 2.5 hours last night with someone getting support and helping that. And I'll be able to look back and go, these are the things that I struggled with and the thoughts that I was experiencing and the moments where I, was so close to a breakthrough, but I wanted to take the easier option and quit. And instead of doing that, I just persevered. And now that I'm further down the track, I don't even consider those things a problem, but people who are at stage 0 do see those. So then I can look back and go, that's what I was actually thinking, not what I think now, because it's different when you get advice from people who are a decade down the track, because they've got all the insights, the frameworks, the ability to overcome their own mind to deliver an outcome, whereas you're still battling with things that the individual who's overcome those think that are significant.
And the documenting and collating and bringing them together. Eugene and I worked on a number of projects, and one project that we worked on was a book that I put together and a workbook to go with it called the Ability Index. And the basis of it is that every human has abilities, and those abilities within business can be put into a certain framework. I see it all the time when you're having these conversations with people about your structures that you're talking to people about. I was on a call the other day with somebody, and we went back just to the basis of module 1. In fact, prior to module 1 of this, and of the Ability Index workbook, and I'm just asking the questions, and it just unlocked so much for her about her business and how she was actually feeling. And I would just take that for granted, and then she was able to do that. So I think, the moment you start to document it and you look back, and then you can put a framework around it, and then you can recite that or share that, the power of that is so powerful.
Well, what I'd like to touch on is the social media aspect, right? Because say what you will about social media, the good, the bad, it's given you an incredible platform to be able to express your vision. And what I find is the content that yourself produces and other influencers across these social medias, there is absolutely real quality content out there, and I think you're fighting the good fight in producing it, because I absolutely love looking through your social media. So is that something that you plan ahead, or is it like an organic sort of creative process?
I've tried both, and thanks for the kind words as well. I've tried both in that I have planned out a month's worth of content and I've done that, but for me, it just doesn't feel authentic. Yeah, like I'll post, and then I've done other things where I've put down my ideas for the month, and then as I go to feel them, like I don't even feel like talking about that today. Like there's no meaning behind it. I could recite the words and make something up, but there's no passion in it. So for me now, like I have my business account and then a personal account. The business account runs off the purpose of each week we're trying to go through a bit of a funnel where it's like awareness, problem, solve, call to action sort of process. And I am disconnected from that. And obviously we're refining that and testing that with data, because I think that's what you need. But for my personal stuff, it's literally just what I feel. The biggest challenge that I have staying on social media is there's one part of me that's an athlete, and then there's the other part of me that is the coach, right? And like the husband and all of these things. And I get every day, it's like, am I like talking about too many things where people don't know why they're coming to this page? Because I think there's an element of that. There's so many incredible creators and pages that you're fighting for attention. And for me, social media is, you want to have the influence and the impact, but then also it leads to other opportunities depending upon your engagement and how you're able to lead people from why they first clicked on your page to what comes next.
I think this is one of those moments that we talk about with the taking a teaspoon of how other people view you every day, right? And, you shouldn't, my personal opinion is you shouldn't have that seed of doubt. It should make you better in your consultative approach to making your content better. But people want to see, I want to see the endurance Lachie. I want to see the family man Lachie. I want to see the breaking down into the principles of, of athlete meets entrepreneur. I want to see how he engages with his friends and family. I want to see where he goes to travel with. I want to see him on the business journey from, starting off with one or two executive talks a month to, what will become the leading leading athlete speaker in Australia, right? That's just a force that will happen, right? If you just keep doing. And I don't think, I think that those sorts of words of I'm not sure where I should be there should be no place for that. Would be my advice. Not that I'm trying to give you advice, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it's so powerful. Yeah, you can be very specific in one thing and very great at one thing. But I think Breed Love or somebody said...
I completely agree. Like, as a society, we're very disconnected these days, especially COVID did this in a lot of regards, right? But I don't think it ever stopped. And what does connect us is engaging or connecting with people's stories and not just in one aspect. And I think there's a lot of power in the variance because it gives you the spectrum. You know, and this was another question I was going to ask you. You know, we're reflecting on the year. You can't have a year that's all ups. You know, there's going to be a lot of downs. And I think being able to connect, something I personally found through your social media was to be able to connect with you, the human, through the hardships, but also through the good, you know, and through the wins. And so I don't think you should be afraid to have all aspects of yourself if you're willing, because I connect with you through that, you know.
And I don't need to be believed because he's talking too much about business or himself trying to talk or himself trying to run. That's just part and parcel of with somebody who's a human and delivering.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's, as you said, the teaspoon of other people's opinions and how you should do things to maximize it. And
the positive pieces of that, right? Like that's the key. Those positive pieces of how they see.
And only a teaspoon. Yeah, you want to also have a lot of confidence in what you want to be as well, I think. And I think that can be really challenging. I know personally, like I'm constantly as a designer, I'm having to put myself on the line constantly. Every day that I create something new, I'm pushing forward a vision or an idea that I've thought up, right? Now, if I took people's opinions of what I did at face value every single time, then I'd lose touch with what it is that makes my designs mine. So, and I think that is also reflective in all aspects of life, you know, putting yourself forward, but also having a bit of confidence in yourself and belief in yourself. This is what I believe in. This is who I am. And so.
And if it helps you or if it helped you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 minutes ago, there's somebody there going to be that resonates. You know, like Eugene does a lot of design in our relationship, and I have a lot of feedback in the ways certain things would be, and sometimes I'm completely wrong, and sometimes I'm completely right, and I think that you need other people's opinions
balanced with your own confidence in what you're doing. And I absolutely and that's why I think like a teaspoon is a good amount or a good analogy for if you're speaking about yourself, you know, like being true to yourself, taking other people's opinions and thoughts, but also kind of blending them in a way that improves you and makes you the best self that you can be.
So this is the first episode that we've had since you've done a lot this year, right? What are some of those high points that we've had?
Well, completing the 58 was a high point. Failing 100 was a high point.
So you guys were doing that 100 in the dark of the night. G was with you, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. And my body just...
Shout out to G, who's our videographer and creative director of all things video. And
yeah, we've been on some wild experiences since, G and I. Then 5K, PB, 10K. Like I've done a lot of PBs.
You just did one last week.
Yeah, or the week before. Yeah.
And the week before.
Oh, and the sub 3 hour marathon was...
Hang on, just say that again.
Sorry, did you say sub 3?
Sub 3. So that was good fun.
So that means there's a 2 in the beginning.
There's a 2.
Wow, how do you do that?
High 2.
Is that high 2? Do you know how they have the pace setters at marathon? Is there any pace setter faster than that?
Oh yeah. Do you know what's mind blowing? 700 people were faster than me. So that's what
we were saying on another
that's when you put it into
pod.
Perspective.
It's these everyday athletes that are just That's 700 people. 700 people aren't all wearing alpha flyers and, you know, short shorts and a you know, what did you call that belt before?
The nerd belt, yeah.
Nerd
Nerd
belt,
belt,
right?
yeah.
And no shirt, right? And that have done 58 marathons prior. This is 700 everyday athletes
They're not
getting out.
They're probably not sponsored. They don't have
All
like,
sub threes.
They just crack on, yeah.
Well, that's impressive. Congratulations on hitting
absolutely
that.
incredible.
Was there any stage throughout that you were like, I'm not going to do this?
Definitely. I'd had the month lead up, I'd been sick and then had a niggling injury, so I missed a few sessions, and that was just not ideal. Obviously, like in the lead up to the 58, I didn't miss a single session for 14 months, including all of the travel. So when I think I missed 3 or 4 sessions, I was like, that's going to impact me, and the speed work had sort of dropped off a bit. And my previous PB in a marathon, not that I'd ever run a marathon flat stick, was 3:39, so I had to knock off a few minutes. But what helped me, I think everything that I've always done is I'm really good at using my own data, developing a plan, and then just knowing that I can, like convincing myself that I can stick to that plan. And I knew I wasn't going to do negative splits. It was just a flat pace. If I could hold this pace, then let's crack on. I had to drink this much water, this much electrolytes. These are the stops I'd take in terms of where I'm picking up water and everything like that. And I just didn't, it was a perfect run from.
Were you unassisted? Like, because it was only you flew down there.
Yeah, it was literally, and that's all of this stuff I do by myself. I don't know why. I'm weird, but I would like to do it with some friends next year. But yeah, like if my wife was going to come down and then she had other things pop up. So I literally flew down, got cranking, and, you know, had 2-minute noodles and pizza the night before. Domino's, shout out Domino's. And then get up in the morning and did my thing. But I've got this level of belief that all the things that I put myself into, like I don't just ad hoc like do them, but I'll plan to the point.
You'll curate them.
Yeah, and I just know that if I do my training well and I eat well and I understand all the different components that make it happen, then it'll happen.
And for the listeners, what was the largest training run that you went on, like a week prior or 2 weeks prior before you started tapering? Like, how did the training block look like to get you there to know that you were going to do it? Because prior to that,
You're talking 58 or sub 3?
No, sub 3.
Yep. So I just followed a normal marathon program. So
where'd you find that?
literally I used an app called Runner. So I do have a marathon coach, but I only got a Melbourne Marathon ticket 8 weeks out. So I had an 8-week training block. And for I think it was 6 weeks I did properly, and my longest run was 34K. So normally I would actually run 42 if I'm working with Dean, who's my coach normally. But the app just said do 34, so I did my 34. But we were doing 2 speed sessions a week, whereas previously I would only do 1. So there was a little bit more intensity behind the training. So I think the biggest training week I had was 91 kilometers, which once again, previously I was doing like 140. So training volume was down, but intensity was up because we were focused more on speed. And then the taper, the weekend before, I think I did a 15K run, and then I ran a 5K and 8K, and that was it.
Wow.
If we were being chased by a bear,
The bear would
I
get
would
me.
be screwed. That's what I get from this.
No.
I would be far behind being eaten by the bear.
Lockie's out of there.
Lockie's,
As long as I
Lachie and
left
Leon
long
are
enough
done-
before,
are
I would have
booking
been
it.
out of there.
Lachlan, I have a question, right? So when it gets hard, when you're running, what goes on in your head? Do you do like counting? Do you just accept
Do you see
the pain?
42 kilometers and break it into 5s, or you see the 40, or like,
What are the
do you look at
mind
all the
games?
yellow shirts? Or,
Yeah, I did that. I've got my strategy of the breakdown, which G loves. It's when you run enough marathons, and mine's not 5s. Like I went into weird breakdowns, but I just had that in every marathon that I do. I would be like, as soon as I've got 5K in, like I'm locked in. Like there's no pulling out of this one. You have to do it. And then I would go through to 14K, and I'm like, 14K, we're a third of the way through. And then I would go through to 18K because I'm like, there's 24K to go. And this is real weird because you could have just gone to the half marathon, but that worked for me. And then I would skip the half, and then I'd go straight to 24. I'm like, 18 to go. Then I'd go 15 to go, bang, it's done. Yeah, and that's how I did it. But I guess when I was struggling, there's days where you beat yourself up, you call yourself every name under the sun, you want to quit. But what I realized, and I've sort of developed this thing called the resilience loop, because the number one question I get asked is like, how are you so resilient? And to me, my wife reminded me of this actually. So my wife's a lot to thank, but before we did the marathons, there was a lot of things I was doing in my life that could be considered resilient, but they weren't leading to anything. They were just like dead ends. And she's like, if you just continue doing these things, it's just the definition of stupid. Like, right? It's not leading to anything in your life. And so when I was going through this period in the run, and I realized that the 58 marathons was never going to define me. Like I had a plan. I had a plan for why I was doing it, why we were raising funds, and what it meant to me from a personal and professional thing. So there would always be the next step. And when you get to a point where you want to quit, and most people would, you obviously remind yourself of the goal. So that's the first and most important part in anyone who wants to become more resilient. It's like, why are you doing the thing and what's the outcome you're striving towards? For me, it was raising the funds, proving to myself I was capable of more, and obviously bringing awareness to mental health as well. The second point is in that moment of you either quit or you continue to push on is recognizing you have a choice. Sometimes, we get the shiny disco ball moment where everything's amazing and you've got so many choices. It's like, which one do I choose? They're all so bloody good. Then you've got times where there's a clear winner and there's a clear loser, which is the easy time. And then there's times where they both suck. And on the 58, I was every day faced with they all suck. It's like you quit, and I had an immense amount of pressure that I put on myself. I didn't have any pressure from sponsors, but I believed I did. And then media, we had 4 million people watching me just on Instagram alone. And obviously pressure of expectation of self. And that sucked. Like, because if I chose to continue, it's like, you're out in -12 on average for the first 30 days.
It's just miserable.
Yeah, it's horrid. And every step, your feet are just on fire. And then the flip side of that, the other choice is like you quit and then you deal with the consequences of calling your sponsors and be like, sorry guys, I've let you down. Call the charity, sorry guys, I've let you down. And that sucked. But I knew that I had to choose a choice that would move me towards the outcome. And then
had the choice.
Yeah, and I had the choice.
That's the powerful thing, right?
Correct.
Right.
And then you just stack the small wins, and I guess you just drop your eyes down to the point where you can just put one foot in front of the other in whatever instance that is.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I think you shared something quite, and you might not want to open up about it, but you were talking about business yesterday and going through a challenge, and a change and a challenge. And is that about self-belief, or is that about, what comes next or what to do next, or?
Probably all of the above. Like I know what I'm here to do, and I've had my business for the last 8 years, 9 years. But what's always come easy to me, not only from like a branding standpoint and everything, but has been coaching people from a fitness standpoint. Like that's just easy and can turn, I guess, the tap on and off in terms of that. But it's not what lights me up. It's not the thing that I jump out of bed going, can't wait to get people fitter. The thing that I love is like the mental health stuff and with men, because I lost mates to suicide and I don't want that to happen. And I just see the ripple effect that has in communities and for families and for wives. And obviously talking about men there, that impact. And I've also helped, we've had 1,160 men come through our workshops over the last 9 years. And I've worked with about 140 one-to-one as well. So, and I love that. Like that's my bread and butter. But the challenge of that is like now, with the platform that I've got and the opportunity to speak more, what does that then look like? But also trying to remove myself from the things that I always did, which was I do all my socials myself. I have done everything myself. And now as you're bringing on different staff members, it can get frustrating because think about leverage. Like how do you create that? You get people to take things off you, and then at moments you're just like, far out. I'd rather just do this myself. And so, yeah, and then obviously writing a book and then the doco on top, there's a lot of pressure I've put on myself. And I know you called me out on this. So you're the only one who's put the deadlines, but I want to get it done. The pressure that I'm carrying to do that before we have our kid is immense, because then I'm also, I've got a lot of things going on. So
Things change.
Yeah.
You have a child, absolutely. I want to unpack that a little bit more, because I went through this experience just this week. We have recently just launched another business.
Which blows my mind how you keep doing it when I'm struggling with one.
and we put the principles and processes in place. But there's somebody else that I take this from, but it's called Vision Standards Recruitment. A guy called Adam, and he taught me about it. But vision is, what is the vision that you have? What is the standards that you're setting for yourself and others and your customers and your business? And then you go and recruit accordingly to be able to suit to those. If that vision is out and those standards aren't set properly, you can falter. And it brings more and more frustration. And I used this workshop, this structure on this workshop on this business that we've just started. Might sponsor an episode here or there, buyersagents.com.au. Or go across to the Buyers Agents podcast. In that, with their marketing, I have a very specific way, right? Look, you talk to me all the time about going and making sure I'm documenting. And I like everything to be somewhat elevated. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes allowed to, but somewhat elevated. But it's just the constant amount of it. So I put in some very structured rules and some very structured processes, down to the length degree that must have this, must have that. The title must be this font. And I actually spoke to you about,
with this, yeah,
some of your marketing, and I picked it up straight away. I'm like, no, it's not you. Got to fix that.
Yep.
And if you can get that vision, you've got to spend the time. You've got to spend the time. And it's got to be exactly the thing that you do, because then other people can follow it. Otherwise, you start to get their mindset into the foray. And you also have to lock yourself away. Like when you went to write the book, you had to lock yourself away. You had to do the 13 chapters. Well, you have to do the 13 headlines. You have to take the 13 designs. So for buyers, we put together 32 designs for the first month. I had to do them because I have to do the first one, because I wouldn't trust any person that I trust to do it would be him. And so I think, I don't want to get on a high horse ranting here and sort of telling you, but you from an outsider's belief, I think you are 1/10 of your capability. And the only way that you're going to get to the other 9/10 and get to the top of the mountain, and then the mountain will just keep getting bigger, is by having those processes in that back you up and at the level and degree. If everybody had a G with them, our content would be first rate all the time, right? If you had a Liam with you, your operations would be elite, right? And this is what I'm so focused on. And we can talk about this because it's Sweat Equity, the Startup Come Athletes podcast. We can talk about whatever we want. But I think it's so critical that you do adopt those sorts of things for yourself, because you can do it all. I think not all at once. There's got to be phases and seasons through your life, but you can do more at the level without the frustration. Is probably what I'm saying.
You fall to the level of your systems, and this is for all regards of life. So if I don't have a system in place to take the rubbish out on Mondays, then it won't get taken out, right? So having an approach to life that is system orientated, and there's this wonderful book, I think it's called This Is System Thinking, and it speaks about how systems underlay every single thing that you do in life, right? And the better you get at recognizing what systems you have in place, the better you can get at refining those systems and elevating your quality of everything. And this is just this Instagram thing, Leon and I have struggled with social media because we don't have the time to put in the amount of work it takes to get the quality that we need for social media to be at the point where we want it, right? But this is where we put in place the system to be able to create, beautiful templates that have certain restrictions around them, which then means that we can take a step back slowly, and that system will then be able to produce that quality.
And you can take your day into I now spend a minute checking X and a minute checking Y, but I haven't done the work to get to it. It's come to me, and it's passed 18 different flag checks first, and then away we go. And I think it's very similar to you running the marathons or running an event or challenging yourself for an event. you put all of those checks in place to make sure you fuel, to make sure you've done the training, make sure you've done all of those steps prior to the actual event. Because you said, if I do that and I do the steps, I know that I'm going to achieve.
Yeah. But sport for me is comfortable. Like I've played elite sport my whole life. So that's like if I'm doing it for a marathon or if I'm doing any sport I've done, like from rugby all the way through to, doing the world champs Spartan racing the year before. It's like all of these sports I understand that, and I understand my body extremely well. And I've got so much data and blood work and all of that. But business is new. Like 8 years is still new for me because I've never had all of that, and I've been in business by myself, so I haven't had that soundboard. I've always worked with coaches and mentors, but there's moments where, I always go on a roll for sure, and then you'll have moments of doubt, and in those moments of doubt, that's where it costs you the most because you end up doing something that takes you a few steps back and you're trying to get forward, and to that point, it's like I know what the vision is and what I'm building towards, and I can see it, but then I'll just make one dumb mistake or second guess myself in one of those bad days to the point where it robs you of a bit. And now I'm obviously a lot older, smarter, considering my decisions more. It's just like and if I look at it like, for me, if I treated my business the exact same way that I treated the 58, where I was able to bring together all these groups of sponsors who never met me and to believe in a vision the way that I did with the running to my business, fucking hell.
So do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So you've got a track record, B, some incredible Brisbane business alumni that believe in you. You've got incredible brands that support you. You're values driven. You're documenting, and people know the integrity and the reality of you, Lachie Stuart, as a person, and you and your family. And you've got a recipe for it. Do you know what I mean? So believe in that. Yeah. Just my 2 cents.
No, yeah, well, it's the...
My 2 cents is it's bloody hard.
It's always hard.
It's, as Leon and I know all too well, whatever business you make, it's always hard. Yeah. But I think what Leon said is a really good point. Your foundations are there, And
I can't wait to read the book. That's coming out when?
Yeah, me too.
With the doco in Feb.
You're going to have an audio book?
Can you tell everybody about this?
Yeah, please.
So we've got it.
I think I should do an audio book, maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have we announced? We've announced. Have you announced?
No.
Okay.
No. So...
But you haven't announced that you're writing a book.
I have announced that I'm writing a book, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm getting data and people's emails and all of that sort of stuff. But we want to announce it when we've got the doco. But met with publisher 2 weeks ago. And then I was supposed to meet with them last Thursday, but I wasn't where I needed to be. So it's next Tuesday, which is going to be exciting. So then obviously they'll get all of the next stages. But our goal... Like I want a number one. Like I think same thing. It's like anything that I do in my life, it's going to lead to the next thing, and I have a goal for it to be a number one.
And we know how to do that, don't we?
Yeah, we know how to do that.
There's a recipe.
Yeah, we have a recipe which we've spoken about, and have companies that are going to buy books and everything like that. So having that prepared to launch with the doco as well, as so when people are putting bums on seats to watch the doco, they get a book as well.
Can't wait for the doco.
Oh, me too.
I can't wait for all of it. It's just, when you're in the thick of the storm, it's hard to see the beauty above, So
that's early next year. We'll see the book by Lachie Stuart. We'll see the documentary by Lachie Stuart.
It's called States of Mind.
We can announce that.
Yeah, we can announce the name.
States of Mind.
We won't announce
Can we show a picture on screen of the poster and send? Oh, look
Designed
at that!
By, yeah,
we can send them to statesofmind.au. Statesofmind.au.
Statesofmind.au.
Amazing.
I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for it.
And they'll be able to sign up for information on tickets that are coming out, and to either announcements on
you can head to my Instagram, and then on just a link, it's like a stand store, and you can then fill out the form there, because it's just like, what's your interest, what state are you living in, how many tickets would you want to get?
So what is it for a bestseller? 5,000 in
5,000 books, yeah.
5,000 books in the first.
So we can pre-order those. I've got one company that's pledged 630 books. So I did a keynote for them. And
I'll tell you what, I've got a deal.
What's the deal?
I'm on the fly. And
You're recording this?
Leon.
My word is always my word.
It is.
For everybody that buys a Lachie Stuart hat in 2026 and pre-orders a Lachie Stuart hat, we will give them a book, and that book will be signed. Here, I haven't checked this with them. It will be signed by Lachie Stuart, and we'll cover the book. The only thing they need to do is pay for the hat, buy themselves a Lachie Stuart hat. If they've already got a Lachie Stuart hat, then they can get a Brooke staff hat.
And do you know what else we can do? We'll pull 1 to 5 people out of a bucket, and I'll run to them and deliver it. Maybe just from the end of the street.
In Queensland?
Yeah, in Queensland.
In Queensland. In Toowoomba or Toowoomba or Brisbane?
Or Newstead only. No, kid.
Warwick?
Yeah, we'll go to Warwick.
So
I'll go as far as
that's
Warwick.
the deal, but they have to pre-order.
Yep.
They have to pre-order. I probably got that wrong. It can't be any time in 2026. They need to pre-order. This thing's got to go to number 1.
Has to be number 1.
Right? So they will get a free copy of the book. No, they'll get a free copy of the book when they buy a hat. But they have to pre-order the hat and the book collection. I'm sure that still counts.
Yeah, we can create a little deal, like a deal somehow
Done.
on the website. We'll figure that out.
Done.
Beautiful. I appreciate that support. That'll be awesome. But it also...
And we want to see every single person who owns a business in Brisbane that was at your homecoming. That was just an incredible day. Wasn't it? Wasn't it? It was so special.
I was actually watching a video. G's probably the only other person who's seen it, of me running just before I entered that thing, and I'm just like the overwhelming feeling of the emotion.
You missed all of the expo before.
Yeah, I missed everything.
It was like magical. The Yeah Buddy stand was obviously the best, but it was the one next door was pretty good.
It was popping off though.
It was
absolutely.
Do you know we sold
energy.
more hats there, more hats than we've ever sold before, until Jetty to Jetty.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jetty
Have
to
you
Jetty, by
announced?
the way, we haven't announced, but there's an announcement coming there. But you know, this is in the dirt, all right? I was selling the hats.
I was there too.
No, you weren't at Jetty to Jetty. I was
No,
alone.
oh sorry, I was
You were
at
supposed
the,
to be there.
I was at the Lachie.
Lachie was also supposed to be there, being a signer, but maybe he might be there next year.
Well, are you talking about next year's Jetty to Jetty?
No, I'm talking about this year's.
Oh,
the one that
right.
we at. But we sold more hats at Lachie's homecoming. The shout out is to every single business owner that was at Lachie's event needs to get themselves on the list to buy their books for.
Even if you
for their
weren't,
team.
even if you're a business owner and you weren't at the finale,
Well, that's
and you're listening to this podcast,
Yeah. So in the links below, we will have links to stateofmind.au where they can find all the information. On our website, we will have the package deal. It needs to be ordered prior to release, and you'll get the first books signed. Can we sign?
yep, well, they'll be signed.
So if there's a 5,000, you're going to
I'll
sign.
get RSI and I'll
Lachie
sign
will
them.
sign, and they'll get a Lachie Stuart hat, which the profit from the Lachie Stuart hat actually goes to Mental Awareness Foundation.
Yeah, which is incredible because we raised $160,000+.
Incredible.
I'm getting
Incredible.
amped up.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Well, now you have to finish the book.
Maybe you can approach the book like you approach these big marathons. You know, do the divide it up into the.
I've done that. It's now we
the
go
same
back
mind
through
game.
and fluff it out and get more of the conversations. So the process is interesting, right? Like I called you when I was away because I was like, what do you reckon? And we got a good framework for it, states of mind, and there's each chapter's a different state of mind. But then, we've got stories, and then I go back to the guys and be like, what was some specific conversations? Or G's got all the footage. So it's like you go back through that and put in conversations that were happening while I was out running, and it's going to be incredible.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it at the film
And
festivals
definitely get that audiobook as well.
and the audiobook.
Because I listen to
Lucky
audiobooks.
sultry voice, putting you to bed
Wouldn't
at
that be
night.
great?
I think that wouldn't be bad.
I think that would be great.
Lachie
I'd listen
Stuart.
to that.
Congratulations on 2025, and we look forward to seeing you and supporting you in 2026.
Thank you very much.
No, thanks for all your support. It would not have been possible without you guys. And obviously, these are conversation starters. And because of the hats, more and more people are hearing about what you guys are doing, and also the 50-day marathon. So 2026 will be amazing.
Look
Fantastic.
forward to it. Congratulations.
Thank you.